Hey guys, welcome back. Hope you're all doing well today. Right, okay, so today, as you can see from the title, we're going to be talking about the new consoles that are coming out this year. It's something that's been playing on my mind recently because I'm someone that doesn't really follow the current gen news as much as I once did. I used to follow it all. I used to watch IGN and GameSpot and, you know, read websites and all that sort of jazz and keep up on top of everything. And I knew what was coming out, what games were coming out, what consoles were coming out. I knew quite a lot. Not so much these days. I've really kind of fallen off the last couple of years and I'm not as aware. I know little bits here and there and I hear the odd bit of news, and I'm subscribed to Rrgmidro, so I get a bit of information from those guys as well, which is really cool. But I don't know a massive load about what's going on. However, I think I know enough to make this video and to really just give my thoughts. So at the moment, we've got 3 consoles coming out this year. It's quite a big year in that respect. An expensive year as well if you read into all of them, but we've got obviously the PlayStation 5 coming out at the end of the year. We've got the Xbox Series X, and then we have in October, on the 10th of October, 10/10/2020, we have the Intellivision Amico, which some may agree that is important, some may not. I personally think it's very important. So yeah, we have the 3 consoles coming out, and really at the moment, I'm currently in a position whereby I'm not that fussed about jumping into next gen. I have a lot of consoles, I have a lot of games I haven't played yet. PS4 wise, I have a ton of games that I haven't even picked up yet, let alone played. So there are still games that I want to play, like Spider-Man, Days Gone, Detroit Become Human, Control, Call of Duty Modern Warfare. There's 5 just to start with, and then I keep seeing more and more. And when I watch channels like Rollercore Eddie, I watched his recent video where he did his PS4 collection, and there are a lot of games that I just keep becoming aware of. I was watching Eddie's videos, other people's videos, and people are always mentioning new games. I found out the other day from Instagram that there's a game that's like I hate to use the term spiritual successor, but it is to Roll Cage, called Grip. Never heard of it until I saw Matt Soulfunk Retro put it up on Instagram. So there's all these games that I still have yet to experience. So for me at this stage, I'm not rushing to get into next gen at the end of this year. However, as a gamer and an enthusiast of this culture, I still have an interest. I'm still fascinated by the technology and where gaming goes from here and how it advances and what the graphics are going to be like and what the games are going to be like. There's going to be any differences, and you know, what the actual consoles can actually do as well. So I always keep an eye on it, and I will of course watch E3. Only Xbox going to be there, but there you go. Amico's going to be there, but I believe Tommy said the other day they're not doing a press conference, but they will have a presence. Sony's not going to be there. However, the rumour at the moment, which apparently is the worst kept secret in the gaming industry, is that Sony will be doing an event in New York in 2 weeks' time on the 5th of February, where they unveil the PlayStation 5 and tell us all about the console, its specs, the controller, etc. Which would be really cool, because if they do that, I'm very much looking forward to it. David Jaffe pretty much confirmed it the other day, so I think you can pretty much put it to bed that it's going to happen. We're just waiting for Sony to officially announce it. So I do want to keep on top of it. I want to make sure that I'm aware of what the consoles are, but just from a purely gamer point of view, I just find it fascinating, as we all do, to keep tabs on all this information and these new consoles. I'm just not looking to jump in right now. I'm happy and willing to wait a year or so, just because I really want to get the most out of my PlayStation 4 and enjoy all of those games that I haven't played, including those 5 that I've just listed off. Now, in terms of PS5, it looks as though it's going to be more powerful. It's going to have SSD. It's going to have ray tracing, which apparently it was rumoured. Well, people were saying it was probably going to be software based, but now Sony have said it's going to be hardware based, which means high price, I assume. I don't know a lot about PC technology. I get the information about that from Rrgmidro because they know a lot more than I do, and I try and understand it the best I can. The Xbox, obviously, that's coming out at the end of the year. That is like uber powerful. Again, like the Xbox One X, Microsoft are going, we've got the most powerful console on the planet. Who really gives a shit, to be quite honest, at this point? I don't know what it is. Microsoft seems to be on this obsession with power. And it's okay having the most powerful box, but you need the games to support it. Software sells consoles. Always has, always will. And as we know from the Xbox One, they had a couple of decent exclusives. Sunset Overdrive, Rise Son of Rome, I absolutely love that game. They had, what's that game? Quantum something. I've forgotten what it's called, the TV video game from Remedy. Oh, what was it called there? I don't know. I keep thinking of Quantic Dream, the developer. Anyway, that Quantum game, which will come to me eventually. So they had a couple of really good and decent exclusives, but realistically the Xbox One failed. It just didn't cut the mustard. Yeah, they had the X and it had all the power, and that's great. But if you only had the one console and you had an Xbox, fair enough, you got all the third-party stuff, but the exclusives, it didn't have a lot. Of course, it had Gears of War 4, which I absolutely loved. I haven't played Gears 5, so I don't currently own an Xbox One, unfortunately. That is a game that I really want to play at some point now in the future. And PlayStation, of course, has just dominated. I mean, it came out the gate really. I mean, yes, it was a slightly bit less powerful than an Xbox, but it had the games. With Sony, you're always going to get great exclusives, and they will continue to do so. We have all the games that have come out this generation. We've still got The Last of Us 2 to come out. They just knock it out of the park, and of course, next gen, I'm sure they'll do another Last of Us, probably another God of War, another Spider-Man, etc., etc. And they'll just keep it rolling because they're very good at doing exclusives. So PlayStation's always a safe bet if you're going to pick up a next-gen console. I saw a story the other day where apparently the rumour at the moment is they're going to bundle VR Model 2 with the PlayStation 5. Now I assume that's going to be a separate package that you can buy, not just the standard package, because then the price would go through the bloody roof. So if you're looking at $450, $500 for the console, plus the VR, I mean, what's that going to be? What, 300 quid maybe? Then you start getting up to the £800 range. So I'd assume if you're going to do a bundle, it's going to be like $750, somewhere around there. That's a lot of money. That's a hell of a lot of money. And that's going to be a very niche thing that people are going to wait for, and some people will be able to jump straight in. But I think the console itself, as I say, is going to be about $450, $500, they seem to think, from what I've seen online from different sources. And I'm just not really that bothered because I've got so much to play about getting in, but I'm really interested to watch the event. I will watch the PlayStation unveiling, and I will do a video and give my impressions, because it's technology, it's interesting, it's fun to watch and to find out about these systems. But for me personally, and this is where I really want to get your opinion, guys, what is the console you're looking forward to the most this year? Because to me, it's the Intellivision Amico by a country mile. I absolutely love the look of this system. I know people have reservations because of other systems that have come before, which have been promised and have failed. Understandable, but this one is coming from Tommy Tallarico. You've got Dave Perry, you've got people involved who are actually industry veterans, people who are not going to mess around. It's not crowdfunded, it's all their own money that they're putting into this. So to me, it seems a lot more plausible. And the more I hear about the system and listen to Tommy in different interviews, it really sells me on the console. I love the concept of family gaming and couch co-op. I remember back in 2006 when I got the Wii. I remember getting that at Christmas. I was at work at the time. I was living in Birmingham. My parents were down in Weston-super-Mare. And I remember calling my dad and asking if it had been delivered, because I had it delivered to their place because I wanted to play it with them. Which is never something I would do with games consoles. My parents aren't that interested. My dad will pay an interest as far as the technology, and he'll talk to me about it. But as far as the gaming is concerned, neither of them have any interest really. My dad plays like old arcade games. He likes things like Phoenix. That was his jam when he was a kid. He loved that game, and he'll play all those kind of games. But the current stuff, I've tried to get him to use a DualShock before, and it's just so confusing for him. He does his best, but he just can't get to grips with the right analog stick for a start. When I try and explain to him about use it for the camera and imagine there's a camera over the shoulder of the character, it's really hard to explain to someone who doesn't play games and who hasn't grown up with games and advanced through the different control methods like we have. So when I got the Wii in 2006 and I put on Wii Sports, and that Christmas we had such fun. Even my mum, who would never ever play video games, she has absolutely no interest whatsoever, was playing Wii Sports with me and my dad. We were having competitions between us, playing Wii Bowling, Wii Tennis, Wii Golf. Me and my dad really got into the basketball game. Or was that Wii Sports Resort? It might have been Wii Sports Resort. The point being is, we played together and it was fun and it was great, and it was like the old days when, in the Commodore 64 days and the Amiga days and the Spectrum and all that, when I used to go around my friend's house and we'd all go around each other's houses and we'd sit and play games together. I used to play on my mate's Amiga when he had one, because no one else had an Amiga, only he had one. And I had my 64, my other mate had a Spectrum, my other mate had an Amstrad, and Mark had an Amiga 500. I remember many times sitting in Mark's bedroom with him, playing Amiga games, playing RoboCop 2 and Nightbreed and other games, and you don't get that anymore. It's so solitary now. And yes, we've got online gaming, but it's online. It's fun. It can be. I mean, a lot of the time now it's quite stressful, but it's not the same as actually being with your friends or your family. And I really like that about the Amico. I like the fact that they're aiming to bring people back together again. and to have fun. And you know, it's great. Even like when you're playing with your mates and you're having a few beers, there's no better way of playing video games with your friends when you're in your room, beers on the go. It's great. I remember playing with my mate on the Xbox. You know, two of my mates one time we were playing Rising Sun Medal of Honor, playing the multiplayer, local multiplayer with one-shot pistol, and it was like winner stays on between the three of us as we got more and more drunk. And it was a right laugh because you can take the piss out of it, you can play fight, you can mess around, you know, and insult each other. It's not the same when you're online. It's much better when you're in the room together. So for me, that's a real big selling point of the Amico. But also, I really like the software. The games they've announced so far look brilliant. I don't know much about the original Intellivision library because I've never owned one. But the games they've been showing, like Night Stalker, look really cool. Moon Patrol looks fantastic. I played the demo. If you want to play the demo of that, you can get the Amico app on the Android store, and there's a very short demo that you can just test out. And it looks and sounds fantastic. So I'm very much looking forward to playing that at some point. They've announced they're going to bring an R-Type game out, which is absolutely incredible. I cannot wait to see what they're going to do. I mean, initially when they first announced all of this, was what sold me. I thought R-Type, yeah, one of my favourite shooters. I definitely want to play that again with brand new advanced graphics and interesting control methods, because they're going to make it work. They keep saying that you can only play these games on Amico. They're exclusive to Amico. They can't be done on other systems. And the reason for that is their controller. Basically, the games are built around the controller and all of the different things that this controller can do. A lot of the tech hasn't been explained yet. They're holding back on that, and they're going to explain it at E3, which is fantastic. But it has motion sensors, microphones, touch screen. It's got the disc, it's got the buttons. It's pretty much got everything you could ever think of nowadays that you would expect in a device. It looks great, and I really am totally sold on this Amico, and I think it's going to be a great console. And you know, Tommy Tallarico is an amazing advocate for this system, because he really does convince you that it's going to be the most incredible thing ever. And we know it's marketing, but he does a great job. He seems like a really sound guy, and he takes his time to communicate with channels like mine and others who don't have massive view counts, don't have lots of subscribers. But if you make a video and you mention the Amico, he'll probably pop in your comments and comment on your viewpoint, or give you some advice, or you know, update you on some information. He's a really nice bloke, and he, you know, I watched the video the other day. I think the channel's called Next Level Gaming. They did a 3-hour, 50-minute interview, like basically just like the whole of the people that work on that channel with Tommy, just talking about the Amico. It was fascinating. I'll put a link down in the description if you've not seen that. It's well worth watching, because you will learn quite a lot about the system. But yeah, I think the Amico is going to be a great system. Now, I know obviously people have got their reasons why they don't want to get involved in the Amico, and I understand that, and they don't understand it. That's fine. But to me, it's something that I'm really fascinated by. It has games I want to play, therefore I will get one. And then obviously, you know, I might get a PlayStation 5 down the line. The only real outlier for me is the Xbox. It's like, I can't see any reason to buy an Xbox. As cool as it looks, as powerful as it is, unless they have the games, it ain't going to sell for me, because every time they seem to release anything, like the last couple of E3s, there seems to be a lot of RPG stuff. I don't care about that, and fantasy and games that just do not interest me whatsoever. And back in the day, Xbox was action. I mean, you know, you look at the launch of the first Xbox, you had Halo, Dead or Alive 3, Rally Sport Challenge, you had Munchie's Odyssey, a good variety. The Xbox 360 had Call of Duty 2, Project Gotham 3, I think Dead or Alive 4, I can't remember for definite. You had Condemned, really cool lineup. I don't even remember what the launch lineup for the Xbox One was, other than playing Rise of Son of Rome, which was fantastic. I love Rise, great game. So I've really kind of lost faith a little bit in Xbox, and I'm hoping that Phil Spencer, when he does his press conference at E3, will turn the tide and will convince me that the Xbox is worth getting into, because this is going to get very expensive. You know, you're looking at around about $450, $500 for each of the consoles. This is just a guess, we don't know for definite yet, but say they're both £500, that's £1,000 for the two consoles. Then you've got the Amico, if you want to get into the Amico, which I do, is going to be around, from what I'm hearing Tommy say, and depending on how they do the translation, because you know, dollars to pounds and all that, we're probably looking at like between $200 and $250, which is way more reasonable and acceptable. But then, you know, in comparison, the other consoles are far more powerful and have a lot more going on, so you expect that. But you know, even if it's $250, you're talking a fact that's £1,250 for all three consoles. That's a lot of cash before you even start playing games. And I believe Tommy said there's going to be 5 games built into the Amico, which is also another great sales pitch, another good reason to own an Amico as well, I find. Also, if you don't know anything about the Amico, it's also apparently going to have, I think he said 16 gigabytes of onboard storage, which sounds like a very small amount, but the games, I think he said you can store about 50 games, so these aren't massive games at all in terms of file size, which is excellent. But you can also, there's an SD slot, so you can upgrade that way as well, which is cool. But yeah, I mean, I would have to make next gen, when I eventually get into it, a big decision. And for me personally, the PS5 is the obvious choice because I like Sony exclusives. They always have the games I want to play, and it will do a good job on third party. And also, if it does have, as everybody seems to think, full backwards compatibility across all PlayStation platforms, then I'm sold. I mean, you know, I'd be absolutely blown away to see what they can actually do with PS1 and PS2 games. And I'm assuming they're going to be using some kind of checkerboarding or something to make them look cooler. But really, the most important one for me is PS3. To see what they can do with that, because that is more close to current gen styles of games and graphics. And it'd be really cool to see how they can up-res a PS3 game and make it look even prettier, because they already look good. They still hold up well. I think the full backwards compatibility would be such a massive selling point if in fact they do that. And especially if it's hardware based, not software based like Microsoft has done, where you just download the actual file. You know, you put the disc in, it acts as a key, you download the game. If you can put your original PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4 games in a PS5 and it recognises the disc and runs off the disc, I don't even know if that's possible. If it was, that would be like the coolest thing ever. Just from a tech standpoint, it'd be amazing. And they can make PS1 and PS2 games look good without making them, because there's a lot of 4x3 action, stretching them out and making them look shit. And then instead of doing that, you can have a 4x3 option with some cool borders, but the up-res the graphics by checkerboarding or something. That'd be really sweet. I'd be impressed with that. The Xbox is the only question for me. We'll wait and see at E3. Maybe they'll change my mind. At the moment, I'm not convinced. I think more than anything, if I was going to do anything, unless they have absolutely solid reasons to own an Xbox, because right now they're saying that the Xbox Series X will have no Xbox Series X exclusives for about 2 years. So all games will run on all Xboxes, all the way down to the original version of the Xbox One. It's basically like a PC situation. So depending on the system you have, is how good the game will run and look. So there's no real incentive to buy a Series X at launch. So they're going to have to explain the reason why you'd want to do that, or in the first few months, because otherwise why would you do that when you can just buy an Xbox One X a lot cheaper? Especially if you buy a used one on eBay, you could get a good deal on those, or Facebook groups or something, the marketplace, and you know, still have the game look fantastic. Like Halo Infinite would still look great on an Xbox One X, but obviously going to be excuse the pun, infinitely better on an Xbox Series X. So I'll be interested to see what they do at E3 to explain the reasons why. You know, how do they sell that product to us? How do they get us convinced that it's worth doing? Yeah, it's going to be interesting. So really, guys, I want to know what you think. Are you interested in the Amico? If not, which one of the two are you going to buy? PS5, Xbox Series X, or are you like me, content with what you've got? You've got a big backlog, and quite frankly, there's no reason to rush. I can wait. You know, I can give it 6 months, a year and a half, 2 years, whatever it takes. And you know, save some money, and obviously there might be revisions of the console, like a pro version or a slim version, etc., like they always do. It's fascinating times, man. This is good times for gaming, though. This is the main thing. We're going to get some great consoles coming our way. No matter what you think, there's going to be plenty of great games to play, and that's the most important thing. We're not going to run out of things to play and to collect them to buy. And for anyone that doesn't know anything about the Amico, as I say, I'll leave a link down in the description to the Next Level Gaming podcast. Please go and have a look at it. It is 3 hours 50 minutes, so you can watch it in parts, but it is absolutely fantastic, and Tommy Tallarico from Intellivision will indeed cover majority of what you need to know about the system. And trust me, if you ain't blown away by it, I don't understand. That is to say, apart from the people who are going to say, well, you know, what about the Coleco Chameleon? Obviously, you know, they are two totally different types of company there. Right, guys, anyway, I'm off. Thank you very much for watching. Leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you in my next video.